Hey, VSauce, Adam here. What are intelligence-based casters? That's the entire script I had for this video. Intelligence-based casters, at their core, are about the knowledge of the arcane, and sometimes other things. This is the easiest of the three kinds of casters, and that's why I'm starting with it. This is going to be a new series, by the way. Now, I think the easiest to explain out of all of the casters is the wizard. The wizard gets their knowledge only from books, from various different kinds of knowledge. And that's why they have the biggest spell list out of any class, because they have all of this knowledge to draw from, rather than just from a deity or from nature, because the arcane is not inherently a part of nature. Normal creatures cannot cast arcane magic. Only when they are influenced by some outside source can they gain that. That's another reason. That's why only wizards can cast Find Familiar. Because they are the only ones, say Ryan is my familiar, wizards are the only ones that know about Fae, Fiend, and Celestials. A normal sorcerer wouldn't, because how could they? They just got their power. They're just a random schmuck otherwise. Warlocks, which is where this comes in the most interesting, can cast Find Familiar, but only when their deity gives them a means to do so, whether it be by telling them how to summon a more powerful familiar, or by giving them a book that lets them cast it. And druids can't because Fiend, Celestials, and Fae are not a normal part of nature. And clerics can't because, well, they're holy, and Fiends and Fae aren't necessarily holy. So let's say Ryan is my familiar. Only I know how to summon Ryan. No one else knows how to summon the specific Ryan, because it is innate to me. My research is my own, and it has led me to summon this demon dog. Because Ryan is definitely a fiend. So, that's also why they can cast certain spells like Simulacra. Simulacra, that's the game. Simulacra. Because they're the only ones that know how to sculpt that statue. They are the only ones that know how to cast that illusion that allows it to be almost lifelike. They're the only ones to cast Clone, because most deities probably wouldn't want you staying past that life, and clones are not a normal part of nature. And, well, sorcerers and warlocks just aren't smart enough, and my lighting is horrible. That's better. Okay, you can actually see me now. Wait, that way. Fixing here. There we go. That's better. And also, that's why they have the strongest ritual casting. They don't need to have that spell prepared. They just need it in their book. Why? Because everything they need to know is already written. Not in their head, but written down, and they can trace what they do from the book. And that's why wizards are some great utility casters, because they don't need Find Familiar prepared. They don't need Alarm prepared. They don't need Identify prepared. A Forge Cleric has to have Identify, cannot switch that out. But a wizard doesn't need to switch it out, because it's always in his book. Which is actually an interesting parallel, because playing a Forge Cleric and a wizard with Identify right now. But the most interesting thing about wizards is the fact that they can't, in-game, make the spells their own. They can't change the fabric of it. And you know why? Because the process of study is, in its nature, only able to show what others also know. When you look at the book, the reason there are these named spells is because these are spells that are relatively new compared to the rest of them. All the old spells, they don't have names along with them because they've been lost to time. Only these highly powerful magicians can even think to begin to make their own spell. Legendary figures like Mordenkainen, or Leomund, or Nistol. You have to be so powerful and so well known to make these spells and have them universally known that it's not easy to just, oh, okay, now change this one slight incantation, now it's ice. That's not how magic works. There's the fireball spell, and there's a reason it's fire. There's a reason so many spells are fire. Fire is the most pure destructive force, and it works the best with evocation. Only when you get that spark of innate talent can you change the nature of these spells. But we'll go more into that in the charisma-based casters video. This is the intelligence-based one. Now, on to the next easiest, being Mystic. I'm holding Ryan now. Now, Mystics are interesting. How are they different from Wizards? They both simply use their mind to cast these magic-like spells. But what makes Mystics so unique, and so strong, and overpowered? God, why is Mystics so overpowered? Mystics have completely mastered their minds. They have not mastered arcane lore, unless you're a Wujen discipline, but they have mastered their mind. And, through mastery of the mind, they take that in different directions, whether it be mind over matter, such as in the Order of the Immortal, or mind over actually matter again, in the case of the Nomads, rather than internal matter being outside matter. Literally the laws of space. Or simply the Order of the Avatar. Gaining almost warlord-like abilities from their own knowledge of how others work. Or any of the various orders, or Order of the Wujen. Learning through the innate knowledge that certain kinds of humans have, and that is passed through the generations. Learning to cast that magic. Now, that's only some of the subclasses, but their mastery over their mind, rather than needing to always put a certain amount of energy and focus into it, they can just passively have it, not using any resources, because of how much they have their minds mastered. The reason their system is entirely different from the rest of the casters is, well, because it's nothing like any of the rest of the casters. No other caster masters themselves so perfectly. It's almost like a fighter. The way the fighter manages to cut a blade perfectly so they can land 4 easy strikes. Or even in the case of a samurai, 8. Or in the case of a samurai again, 16. They're almost the fighters because of how much they master themselves. It's almost like wizards are kind of the rogues, and clerics are the monks, and sorcerers and warlocks are the barbarians. But mystics, they are the fighters. They really understand what they're doing. Even wizards don't really fully understand why this set of things causes this spell to do what it does. They just know this is how you make this happen, this is how you can replicate it. Only when you get to such high levels as Mordenkainen do you know how to make your own spells. That's why in the player's handbook, normal wizards can't make spells. Because only when your DM has decided you are strong enough, past the level system, you as a wizard are strong enough and smart enough to make a spell, or strong enough that you can make that spell. But mystics, they are in complete control of themselves, not worried about outside sources. They're still intelligence-based, because it's still all about the mind, but they don't need outside sources. The whole, not dying thing, that doesn't really make much sense, but, master of the mind, master of the body, I guess it kind of makes sense. Now, the one I personally struggle with the most is, honestly, Artificer. I understand that it comes from the knowledge of how to use these tools, and that the magic is supposed to come from the tools, but why could, then, not a normal person train, alongside being a fighter maybe, to use this kind of magic in this way? Why is that a uniquely Artificer thing to do? It doesn't quite make sense. But, if you want to put it like that, they are so inherently linked to magic and the items that they forge from it that they just radiate it, almost like a sorcerer. But it does come from their knowledge of making these tools, and from these implements, allowing them to cast their healing magic, them being the only intelligence-based casters who can heal beyond themselves in cases like mystics. They can do this because they are so specialized at using these tools they can use them in ways normal people can't. And through their knowledge of magic items, maybe they have enchanted tools that allow them to go past this. See, wizards, they don't specialize in magic items. They specialize in raw magic. But artificers focus it. And that's why they don't get as many spells. But, on the other hand, they are able to make these magic items through their, not implements, that's, no, that's cultists and Pathfinders. Through their arcane infusions, they are able to have such an understanding of magic to make these items rather easily that they possibly put some magic into their own, so they could do these special healing or detecting spells. Maybe even it's almost like a magic initiate kind of way, where you have a bit of knowledge, but that's not really what your specialty is, so you get a bit. But, of course, more than just a normal person with magic initiate. Intelligence is the spellcasting stat that makes the most sense. When you think of magic, you think of wizards. Or, if you're a bit more out there, you think of mystics. Depending on what type of medium you're thinking of. Sometimes you might think of warlocks, but that's a bit more out there. The quintessential magic user, as they used to be called, is the wizard. Of course, the quintessential psionics user is the mystic. And I guess the Gith, but no one plays Gith anyway. So, that is what intelligence-based casters are. Or at least my best explanation. I hope it made sense. This is a series, I guess, for new players explaining how it works, but this works for veteran players too. I finally had the drive to record a video and actually upload it the week before my school got back in. So, I have a week to finish this series, and I'm playing D&D tomorrow, so I won't have any time to record tomorrow. And also, I have a summer school assignment to finish. So, I will, hopefully, at least the wisdom-based caster video will be out within this week. And hopefully I'll be able to get the charisma one out too. These aren't really scripted, it's just I think of these things and I kind of bullshit. But yeah, that has been a Why Intelligence-based casters. I hope to actually continue this series. I haven't uploaded anything on this channel really ever. Like I uploaded that like, hey, this is me, this is my old content. And if you don't know what my old content is, I'm not telling you what my channel is, you figure it out. But Ryan was a kind of recurring character. Ryan will continue to be a recurring character. I'll use him as an example whenever I need to. So anyway, I have been LA7, otherwise known as Adam, otherwise known as lithium dicarbonate. I don't know why that's my icon for my channel, that's just what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.